There is a love spoken of, whispered about in sacred texts, sung about in hopeful hymns, that defies all human logic. A love that persists in the face of rejection. A love that pursues even after betrayal. A love that seems almost scandalous in its refusal to give up. We call it unconditional love, divine love, agape. But what does it actually look like? Not in theory, not in theology, but embodied, lived out in the messy, heartbreaking reality of human relationships. There is one story in the prophetic tradition, so strange, so uncomfortable, so psychologically brutal, that many readers try to explain it away as mere allegory, but its power lies precisely in its raw, embodied reality. It is the story of the prophet Hosea, a man commanded by God to live out a devastating metaphor, to marry infidelity, to love betrayal, and in doing so, to become a living, breathing portrait of God's own broken heart. The Book of Hosea opens with a divine command that shatters all expectations of prophetic dignity. The word of the Lord that came to Hosea. When the Lord began to speak through Hosea, the Lord said to him, "Go, marry a promiscuous woman and have children with her. For like an adulterous wife, this land is guilty of unfaithfulness to the Lord." Let this sink in. God's first instruction to his chosen prophet is not to preach a sermon, not to perform a miracle, but to enter into a marriage destined for heartbreak. He is told to marry Gomer, a woman known for her unfaithfulness, or perhaps prone to it, and to have children with her. This is not just a private tragedy. It is a public, prophetic act, a living parable. Hosea's life itself is to become the sermon. His marriage is to mirror the relationship between God and Israel. God, the faithful husband. Israel, the adulterous wife, constantly chasing after other gods, other loyalties. Why such a shocking, painful metaphor? Perhaps because only through embodiment, only through Hosea feeling the visceral pain of betrayal in his own bones, could the depth of God's own relational anguish be communicated. This is not an abstract theological point. It is heartbreak made flesh. So Hosea obeys. He marries Gomer. She bears him a son. God instructs Hosea to name him Jezreel, meaning God scatters, a name signifying judgment. Then Gomer bears a daughter. God says, "Call her Lo Ruhamah," meaning not loved or no mercy. "For I will no longer show love to Israel, that I should at all forgive them." Then she bears another son. God says, "Call him Lo Ami," meaning not my people, for you are not my people, and I am not your God. Can you imagine the weight of this? Hosea's children, born from this fraught union, are living symbols of God's judgment and estrangement from his people. His family life is a constant, painful reminder of the broken covenant he is called to preach about. His home is a stage for divine heartbreak. And then, as foreshadowed, Gomer leaves. She runs after her other lovers. The text implies she descends further into promiscuity, perhaps even into prostitution or slavery. The betrayal is complete. The marriage commanded by God has ended in abandonment and shame. What must Hosea have felt? The public humiliation, the personal grief, the confusion. Why would God command this, only for it to end in such pain? He embodies the questions we all ask when love leads to suffering. And it is here, in the depths of Hosea's heartbreak, that God speaks again. And the command is even more shocking than the first. The Lord said to me, "Go, show your love to your wife again, though she is loved by another man and is an adulteress. Love her as the Lord loves the Israelites, though they turn to other gods. Go, show your love again." This defies all human logic, all sense of justice, all self-respect. She has broken the covenant. She has abandoned him. She is with another. The relationship is dead. Any therapist, any friend, any sane person would advise Hosea to cut his losses, to protect his heart, to move on. But God commands the opposite. He commands a love that is not based on reciprocity, not based on worthiness, not based on good behavior. He commands Hosea to embody a relentless, pursuing, seemingly irrational love. A love that mirrors God's own heart toward his unfaithful people. And God gives Hosea specific instructions. He is not just to feel love, he is to act. "So I bought her for 15 shekels of silver and about a homer and a lethek of barley." He has to buy her back, whether from slavery or from a lover, or simply by paying her debts. He has to redeem her. This love is costly. It requires sacrifice, humiliation. He pays the price to bring home the one who betrayed him. He brings her back into his house. But it is not an immediate restoration to intimacy. There is a period of consequence, of re-establishing boundaries. Then I told her, "You are to live with me many days. You must not be a prostitute or be intimate with any man. And I will behave the same way toward you." This is not about punishment. It is about creating a space for healing, a slow path back toward faithfulness. This entire agonizing drama, Hosea's marriage, Gomer's betrayal, the naming of the children, the buying her back, is a living, breathing sermon about the nature of God's love. It tells us something profound and perhaps deeply uncomfortable about the divine heart. It tells us that God's love is not a reaction to our goodness. It is a relentless, initiating, pursuing force. It is a love that chooses us even when we are unfaithful. It tells us that God experiences relational pain. Our unfaithfulness, our turning away, genuinely wounds the divine heart. The metaphor of the betrayed husband is not just a literary device. It conveys a real divine anguish. It tells us that God's love is willing to pay an extravagant price for reconciliation. Hosea buying back Gomer foreshadows a much greater redemption. A God who would ultimately enter into human history, into our brokenness, and pay the ultimate price to bring us home. And it tells us that God's judgment, represented by the harsh names of the children, is not the final word. It is a severe mercy intended to lead back to restoration. Later in the book, after chapters detailing Israel's unfaithfulness and the consequences, God's own voice breaks through with astonishing tenderness. The names of judgment are reversed, yet the Israelites will be like the sand on the seashore. In the place where it was said to them, "You are not my people, Lo-Ami," they will be called children of the living God. I will show my love to the one I called not my loved one, Lo-Ruhama. I will plant her for myself in the land. A play on Jezreel, meaning God plants. God promises a future of healing, of restoration, of renewed intimacy. He speaks like a heartbroken lover, yearning for reconciliation. Therefore, I am now going to allure her. I will lead her into the wilderness and speak tenderly to her. There she will respond as in the days of her youth. I will betroth you to me forever. I will betroth you in righteousness and justice, in love, hesed, and compassion. I will betroth you in faithfulness, and you will acknowledge the Lord. This is the stunning destination of Hosea's painful journey. His lived-out metaphor reveals a God whose love is ultimately redemptive, a love that does not ignore the betrayal, but somehow, mysteriously, works through it toward healing. What does this strange, disturbing, beautiful story mean for us? It is emphatically not a literal command for how to handle infidelity in human relationships. God's command to Hosea was a unique prophetic sign act, not a universal marital blueprint. Applying it literally could be dangerous and enable abuse. Human relationships require boundaries, consequences, and sometimes endings. But as a metaphor, as a window into the divine heart, the story of Hosea is revolutionary. It challenges our deeply ingrained human notions of fairness and quid pro quo. We operate on economies of merit. You get what you deserve. You reap what you sow. Hosea reveals a divine economy that operates on a different principle: grace. Unmerited, unconditional, relentless. It offers profound hope to those of us who feel trapped in cycles of our own unfaithfulness. Our addictions, our repeated mistakes, our inability to live up to our own ideals. Hosea tells us that God's love is not dependent on our ability to finally get it right. His love pursues us even in our wandering. His grace is always seeking to buy us back. And perhaps most radically, it invites us to consider the cost of love. Hosea's love for Gomer was humiliating, painful, and expensive. It required him to absorb the shame, bear the cost, and choose love, even when it felt utterly irrational. This is a challenging mirror. Are we willing to embody even a fraction of this kind of costly, redemptive love in our own relationships? Toward the family member who betrayed us, toward the friend who let us down, toward the community that feels broken. This story does not offer easy answers. It offers a difficult, demanding, and ultimately breathtaking vision of a love that will not let us go. A love that is willing to enter into our deepest brokenness and pay the price to bring us home. Let's close with a moment of quiet reflection. A life benefit. Let's call it the Gomer within. Take a moment. Be honest. Where in your own life do you recognize the pattern of Gomer? Where do you find yourself running after other lovers? Things you believe will satisfy you more than the source of true love? It could be approval, success, comfort, distraction, addiction. Where are you unfaithful? Not just to God, but perhaps to your own deepest values, your own true self? And then consider the possibility that even in that place, especially in that place, there is a relentless love that is seeking you out, willing to pay the price to buy you back and speak tenderly to you in the wilderness, allowing ourselves to be found. That is the beginning of coming home. If this exploration of God's shocking, relentless love has moved you, subscribe to Soul Scripts. We are committed to wrestling with these difficult, transformative stories together. Thank you for sitting with this challenging text today.